If you feel like you never find your Misfortune 3 or Katarina 3 or any 3 cost or 2 cost reroll, then it means that you're making a mistake, probably. And I'm going to show in this video how you can optimize with math everything in order to have more chance to find your 3-star units and win your games. This is especially important in this beginning of set 10 because we have a heavy meta towards 3 cost and 2 cost reroll comps, so it's very important to understand how to play them now that the odds and the levels and everything has changed. So let's get into it. So first we're going to start the video by explaining the champion odds and the champion pool. If you understand already these things, you can just skip this part and get to the next part of the video. But if you don't really know or you don't really understand these concepts, it's really important that we spend a little bit of time on this because it will explain everything later about how to optimize and how to counter optimize, meaning that how to deny other people. So let's first talk about the odds. So the odds is very simple to understand. You know, you can see it in the game. When you level up, you see these odds appearing. It just means that you have the chances in your shop to find 1 cost, 2 cost, 3 cost, 4 cost, or 5 cost units. What are you doing? What does it mean exactly? It's very simple. In your shop, you have 5 cards. At level 3, let's say, as an example, each card will independently be 1 cost or 2 cost, with a 75% chance to be 1 cost, 25% to be a 2 cost. And then once the tier of the card is decided, then after they will pick a champion available in the pool of champion. We're going to talk about the pool of champion a little bit later. So if you're level 8, you have 80% chance per card to have a 1 cost, 25% chance per card to have a 2 cost, to 36% chance per card to have a 3 cost, etc. One thing you need to remember is like the game will always decide first the tier of the card, and then after it will be a random champion of that tier. This is how it works in the code behind TFT. Now let's talk about the champion pool. So this is a little bit more abstract as a concept because we don't see it in the game. The idea is like all the champions in the game are within the same bag and every player is picking from the same bag. And we have, it's written here, 22 copies of each 1 cost unit, meaning that there are 22 Yasuo in the game, 22 Annie in the game, 22 Corki in the game. We have 20 of 2 cost units, so 20 Katarina in the game, 17 of 3 cost units, 10 only of 4 cost units, meaning that we have only 10 Caitlyn, 10 Cartus, and only 9 per legendary. So this is why it's actually difficult to find them. Nico, why are you screaming? So these champion pools have multiple consequences. For instance, if 18 Yasuo are out of the pool because other people are playing Yasuo, it means there are only 3 Yasuo in the pool, meaning that when you roll for Yasuo, you have low chance to find Yasuo, you have better chance to find other units like Evelynn, Annie, etc. On the other hand, if everyone is playing Misfortune, Lux, Nico, and all the other 3 cost champions, but no one is playing Urgot, then it means that you have high chance to find Urgots whenever your card in the shop is a tier 3 card. And this is why at the pro level, and at least master level, you will see a lot of people trying to deny other players because whenever someone tries to make Urgot 3, it means that they need 9 copies of Urgot, meaning that it needs to have at least 9 out of 17 in the pool. A lot of people will buy Urgot there and there to try to reduce the number of Urgot available, meaning that they will drastically reduce the chances of the other player to hit Urgot 3. Another thing it's important to remember is like starting tier 3, so tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5, you can't have mathematically 2 players having the same 3-star unit. If someone has Urgot 3, you have mathematically no chance to find Urgot 3. There is an exception if you have some Nico's help or champion duplicator if you prefer, but without that special object, it's not possible. No, not the glasses. So now let's talk about the odds. Basically, how much gold should you spend in order to find 6 copies of a unit, depending on your level, depending on how many units are out of the pool, etc. So let's have an example with a 1 cost champion. Let's say you want to play Yasuo reroll, okay? So the idea is to use this tool. Basically, I want to find Yasuo. Usually we roll for 1 cost units when we are level 5 because we will naturally get to level 5. Even if we don't spend any money into XP, we will still be level 5 at stage 32. And because of that, we usually want to reroll at level 1 with maximum gold possible. So I'm level 5. I have 3 copies. Let's say 3 other Yasuo are out of the pool because people are playing Yasuo. Then I have another 3 3 copies of Yasuo because I have the headliner Yasuo that makes 6 copies out of the pool in total. Then after we want to say there are around 40 champions and 1 cost that's out of the pool because everyone is playing 1 cost champions, yes, during stage 2 and stage 3. And let's say that I have infinite gold, maximum is 100, so I have 100 gold. It means that with 100 gold, that around 50 rolls, I have only 55% chance to find Yasuo 3 because I already have 3 copies, so I need 6 copies more to find Yasuo 3. This is just 50-50 chance, so it means that you need much more gold in order to have kind of guaranteed Yasuo 3. This is very important to understand. It means that if you have a Yasuo chosen at stage 2, nice, you can play with it, but if by the time you're level 5, you still haven't found any other copies of Yasuo, you have literally almost no chance to find it because you're not going to have 100 gold at level 5. Instead, you're most likely going to have 50 gold, and at 50 gold, you have only 5% chance to find Yasuo 3. So every time you want to play a 1 cost reroll comp, you need to understand that you need at least 5 copies naturally, including the headliner, if you want to reroll. Because if I already have 5 copies, so let's say I add 2 more, then I only need to find 4 more copies, and if I'm at 100 gold, I have 78% chance to find it. So it's very high chance to find it. So that's what I really want to say with the 1 cost reroll comp. Don't try to go for Yasuo 3, Corki 3, Ani 3 if you don't hit them like 5 or 6 copies naturally. That's it. By the way, this is a tool a friend of mine has made. He's challenger as well. We are training together, and he agreed to like let me use the tool, show it, and put the link in the description so you guys can play with it and learn a bit more about these stats. Now let's use the same tool but for the 2 cost champions. So I'm going to look for 2 cost champion, and we're going to say like I want to play Katarina reroll because by the time I'm making this video, Katarina reroll is one of the best 2 cost champion you want to play as a reroll comp. So I have a Katarina headliner. Okay, I have 3 copies of Katarina because a headliner is a 2-star, so it takes 3 copies out of the pool. So I have 3 copies, and let's say I'm lucky, no one else is playing Katarina, so there's no other Katarina out of the pool, and we will say that there are around 31 other 2 costs out of the pool because people are playing, I don't know, something else like Senna, Seraphine, and things like this. Very cool. You're going to do bad things, right? She starts to do some bad things, so I have to remove her. So don't worry, the bird is good. She's just like awake and she wanted to play, so I couldn't continue the video without being interrupted all the time. Anyway, what I wanted to say is like I want to play Katarina reroll. She's a very solid 2 cost reroll, and I'm the only one playing, and there are around 30 2 cost champions out of the pool. So in that case, I'm level 6. I'm going to put that here. And again, I have 100 gold. So I have around 50% chance to find 6 copies of Katarina at level 6. And if I'm level 7, you will understand that it's lower. It's actually 37%. But I'm going to say you something counterintuitive. And I'm going to say you that most of the time, you don't want to reroll for Katarina at level 6, but actually at level 7. And this is the difference between just focusing on mathematics, but also focusing on what happens in your games. By the way, I'm using Tacter. This is where I wrote the guide about how to reroll comp. And I put kind of a cheat sheet here, like noticeable things you need to remember. So if you ever forget or 2, you can go to this website instead of watching the video again. This is where I can literally write to help you be better on TFT. So basically in this guide that I have 2 examples of Katarina, the setup at level 6 and the setup at level 7. The setup at level 6 is obviously what you will play at level 6. You'll try to play with 4 crowd divers, 3 country, and basically play around her synergies. And that's it. You will win streak most likely the stage 3 because right now Katarina is too strong, but you might start to lose fights at stage 4. And this is depending on your situation, that sometimes yes, sometimes not. But if you start to lose fights at stage 4, you will start to lose health. And if you start to lose too much health, you will be forced to do something, because if you don't roll hard, if you don't play aggressive while losing health, you will simply lose the game. On the other hand, if you're level 7, you can have a much better board because you have access to the focus units, you have more chance to find Zac and Zed than at level 6. And if you find these units, you can have a much stabilized board and you have high chance to actually win streak stage 4 with this board as well. So what's the difference then? Why not reroll with this comp rather than this one? So the idea is, like, if you reroll with this, like I said earlier, you will lose fights during stage 4 and even stage 5. And we saw also earlier that it takes a lot of gold to have only 50% chance to find 9 Katarina. So meaning that if you stay level 6 forever and you will lose health and you will panic, so you have to use your gold, and you have a tiny chance, because I'm not even sure you have 100 gold, you have a tiny chance to find Katarina 3. What you will do instead, what if you use your power spike, stage 3, to slow push level 7? Not aggressively, you just slow push level 7. So you'll be level 7 very beginning of stage 4 with 50 gold. Use level 7 and you might roll a little bit in order, no more than 20 gold. Usually you want to keep your icon healthy, so you roll 20 gold, so you're down to 30 gold. And you will roll a little bit to find some focus units like this one, for instance. And it's fine if you don't find them. Maybe you will find Thresh. You can play 5 country. It doesn't really matter, but you can for sure upgrade your board properly at level 7. What's happening then? You have two choices. You go back to 50 gold and you will see that you don't find any Katarina naturally. You literally don't find any. In that case, I kind of want to say you have to give up Katarina, because we saw how hard it is to find 6 Katarina. You need at least 200 gold. Even if you win streaking stage 3 and stage 4, even if you're making much more gold than if you stay level 6 by losing fights, you still need a lot of gold. So the other option is rather to roll for Katarina, because you already found naturally Katarina. So now you have 5 copies of Katarina instead of 3. In that case, it looks like it's a good choice to roll for Katarina. But you wouldn't be able to tell this whether it was a good choice or not if you didn't patiently wait and push level 7. Because the thing is, when you slow push level 7, you will have like around 4 or 5 natural shops. And maybe in those 4 or 5 natural shops, you will find 1, 2 or 3 Katarina. In that case, it's a good sign, you will roll for Katarina 3. But again, what I want to say is like, yes, level 6 is where you have the most chance to find Katarina, but in practice, when you're level 7, you buy yourself time because you're slow pushing level 7, so you have more natural shops, and also you don't lose health because your board is naturally stronger, and also it gives you more gold because you bought time. You bought the stage 3 by playing a strong Katarina comp, you bought the stage 4 because you're level 7 with the strong comp, and you even bought the stage 5, meaning that you have at least 2 entire stage where you can assess whether or not you can play Katarina or not. The idea also is you can use this time to see if people are playing Katarina as a transition or they want to reroll as well, because Katarina is such a good unit. Many people will play Katarina in stage 3 and stage 4, but after they will transition out. So by buying time, you let them transition out, you let them put the Katarina back in the pool, so you have even more chance to find her. Now let's talk about the 3 cost champions. It's basically the same, but there's a little bit of difference. So if we look at the odds, again, these are screenshots I took from the tool. If we are level 7, we look for 3 cost champions, and let's say that we are not contested, we need 100 gold to find 9 copies of that champion. Obviously, if you have a highliner, it's a little bit different. It's more like around 30% chance to find your 6 other copies. With 100 gold, that's insane. On the other hand, if you're level 8, it's basically the same. Like when you have 100 gold, you have a little bit more than 30% chance to find 6 copies of the champion you're looking for. So again, let's take that example and apply it to meta comp, which is misfortune reroll with jazz. So if we look at the comp at level 7, you want to play what's here is simply misfortune, jazz, super fan, KDA, basically a lot of synergies, and that's it. This is a very strong mid-game comp. By the way, you will most likely win streak the stage 4 if you have this comp, and you can win good amount of fights during stage 5. But now, if you think about it, if you're level 8, you have 1 more slot. With 1 more slot, you can potentially add Lucian if you find it. At least you have more chance to find it at level 8 than level 7. And if you don't find it, it's fine. You can have Twisted Fate. So you add 1 Dazzler, so that gives more value with jazz, basically. So here you have 2 situations, because it really depends on where you are in the game. If you are behind, if you are low health and you don't have that much gold compared to the other opponents, you might have no choice but to gamble. And I say gamble because to me it's gamble, that you stay level 7 and you try to find Misfortune 3. Let's remember, if you just have Misfortune Headliner and you don't have any copies of Misfortune, with 100 gold, you don't even have 35% chance to find her. It means that in 2 games out of 3, you will never find her. And this is why, one of the reasons why you don't find your 3 cost 3 stars. But what if we decided to play slowly? Again, just like Katarina. If you have a lot of health, or at least you're not like in danger to lose the game, and you can buy yourself time, like I said earlier, you will want to slow slow push level 8, because during 5 rounds you will have 5 natural shops, and in those natural shops you might find naturally some misfortune. If that's the case, then after you level 8 you have more chance to cap your board by adding one extra unit that's either useful or brings one more synergy to have more stats with Jazz. And then after, you will still win your fights during stage 5, and because you win your fights during stage 5, you earn more gold, you have more health, you have more time. This is exactly what you want when you play a reroll comp, and that way you have maybe more chance to find misfortune 3, because let's say you find 1 or 2 naturally, then you literally go from 34% chance to, let's say, 80% chance just by finding 1 or 2 naturally between the moment when you decided to go for misfortune and the moment you push level 8 by doing slowly. But again, playing slowly is only a comfort you can have if you have enough gold and enough health. You cannot do that if you are from behind. So if I had to make a TLDR of this video, or more like a TLDW because too long didn't watch, I would say that most of the time, if you want to play 1 cost reroll comp, you want to reroll at level 5, but only if you have at least 5 copies naturally of that champion. Also, most of the time you want to reroll for your 2 cost champions at level 7, only if you don't already lost too much health. Maybe sometimes at level 6 your game is already doomed and you have no choice but to gamble for your 3 stars at level 6. Or you can also reroll for the 3 cost at level 8, but only if you're quite healthy and not already behind, because if you're behind, you're kind of stuck at level 7 and you have to hope that you find your 3-star champions. And another thing I would like to add as well, I didn't say in this video, but there's a secret rule about highliners. You cannot have a highliner if half of the champion is already out of the pool. Let's say for instance you want to find misfortune, you have 6 misfortune, and you hope to have a misfortune highliner, but unfortunately other people are playing misfortune and there are too many misfortune out of the pool. So let's say that there are 3 other misfortune out of the pool, that makes 9 misfortune out of 17. That's more than half. You will never have a misfortune highliner in your shop. That's a secret rule that Riot added just before the release of the set to avoid situations where people can make 3-star champions too easily. If you love this set and you would like to climb as high as possible and even break your record, I have 2 ways I can help you. The first way is to subscribe to my free newsletter I send every week, where I simply focus on the 5 comps you want to play if you want to stick to the meta and truly hone your skills on the best comps that will lead you to victory. The link is in the description, and the other way I can help you is by subscribing to my YouTube channel, because this will give you access to a private Discord where I share all this kind of stuff much before I make videos, and also I answer to any question you may have. So basically it's a small community, but this community is trying to be better at TFT, and I think we all share the same goal, and I'm obviously here to help you as well. On the other hand, this will directly help me to fund the Las Vegas Open that I'm going to compete in like less than a week. I don't know when this video is going to be released, but I'm going to compete there and I have to, pay the travel cost and everything. So I will be extremely grateful if you help me in that way. Until next video, see you at the top of the ladder.